You can do everything right with your podcast. Launch it, publish consistently, promote it, show up week after week, and still quietly wonder if it's doing anything at all. And it's not because you failed, but it's because you're measuring podcast return on investment in a way that podcasting was never designed to deliver. Most people expect podcast ROI to be loud, immediate, or measured in downloads, DMs, and quick conversations. And when that doesn't happen, the doubt creeps in. It looks like, is this even worth it? Is anyone listening at all? Did I make a mistake starting this? And here's what no one explains clearly. Podcast ROI is barely visible while it is working. It shows up quietly in how people trust you, how they speak your language back to you, how they show up convinced and ready before you even make the offer. In this episode, I want to break down what podcast ROI looks like. Not in stats, not in funnels, but in the kind of results that compound over time, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Most podcasters don't grow because they don't have a strategy. No more. Welcome to the show, Podcast to Grow, where I help coaches and entrepreneurs turn their podcast into their most powerful business tool. I'm Elena, and I'm breaking down exactly how to get more listeners, more impact, and more sales. Let's get into it. Here's what most people think should happen when you launch a podcast. You launch, you maybe post on Instagram, you promote it through a couple channels that you have, and then you sit back and you wait for the magic to happen. Downloads equals traffic, leads equal the funnel is working, and sales equals ROI. Check, check, check. But that's the traditional marketing lens, where speed is the metric and everything else is short term. But podcasting doesn't play that game. It's not designed for speed. It's designed for depth. It's not a funnel. It's actually a foundation, a trust-building engine. It's your voice that people are bringing into their lives while they are walking their dog, washing the dishes, or decompressing after work. So if you're expecting overnight success, then podcasting might not be for you. It is a slower game. But if you're looking for longevity, loyalty, and real connection, then this is the right tool for you. So let's reframe podcast ROI from I record an episode to I get a lead. Let's change the mindset a little bit and think about it differently, because it doesn't always look like a viral sensation when you create a podcast and get a lead. It sometimes has some nuances. Okay, so let's talk about what ROI actually looks like in podcasting. And let's step back and let's look at it from a different perspective, because it doesn't always look like a viral sensation when you podcast 2 conversions. It can actually look like and sound like this instead. I listened to 3 of your episodes and I booked a call with you. Or I sent my mastermind group your podcast episode because it was so good. I've been listening to your podcast for like a year and I'm so finally ready to meet with you. Or I wasn't looking for support, but this last episode changed my mind. Or you're the only person on this topic that I trust. That is real ROI. And no, it doesn't show up on your podcast analytics. And just to give you a little bit more of an idea of what ROI can look like, here is some non-linear ROI signals. Clients coming in to your discovery calls already pre-sold because they've been binging your episodes. Shorter sales cycles, higher ticket aligned buyers finding you, referrals from people that have never paid you, but they trust you, guesting invites, speaking opportunities, and partnerships that never would have happened if you didn't start podcasting. The funny thing is that you're building equity episode by episode. It is all compounding on a platform that you own. Let me tell you about a client who's eager to hit 1,000 downloads per episode right after launching her podcast. She had big goals and she was ready, and honestly, she was doing everything right. She was showing up, she was recording consistently, she had the mic, she had the graphics, she had everything mapped out. But after a few weeks, she started to panic. She said to me, "I thought I'd have thousands of downloads by now. What is going on?" She wasn't seeing the numbers she expected to, and then she started to doubt everything. And she started saying things like, "Is this even working? Should I pivot or should I pause? Or am I sharing my voice to no one?" She believed what most of us do at first, that downloads equals success, that visibility equals value, and that if she wasn't seeing the dollar signs, was it even worth it? But then things started shifting. Someone actually reached out to her and said, "I listened to your podcast and it gave me the confidence to go after that job I've been wanting to, and I actually got it." Nothing else says podcast ROI than a direct result from your podcast episodes. That is amazing. And then other listeners were saying things like, "I listened to your episode. It was so good. I forwarded it to my entire team." She started getting tags in stories. She started getting DMs, and people started messaging her and using her language in their interviews. Her podcast wasn't just making noise, it was actually making an impact. And something else shifted for her too. Her clarity deepened, her confidence skyrocketed, and her offers got sharper and her content got easier. She wasn't second guessing herself anymore, and she knew exactly what her audience cared about. And that just helped her so much. And from that point, a few months later, she actually had a podcast event that she sold 300 tickets, and she sold out her special add-on lunch for that event as well. And multiple people came up to her during that event and said, "I came because of your podcast." And that's when she said to me, "My podcast made me sound like a leader. And more than that, I actually feel like one now." That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's the ROI that doesn't show up on your stats or your analytics, but it changes everything for you and your podcast momentum. And here's the thing, her podcast doesn't just bring in listeners to her. It helped her with her clarity. It helped her with her confidence. It helped her to bring more clients closer to her. And it anchored her authority like no funnel could do for her. Podcasting isn't a funnel, it's a filter. It shows them who you are and who you're not before they even work with you. And tell me what other platform does that? It lets people binge your brain, it builds trust before they book with you, and it pre-sells your offers without a pitch. Podcasting isn't about the biggest reach, it's about the deepest resonance. If you've been listening to this and you're stuck in the "how do I even make this worth it" question, I want to leave you with this. Podcast ROI rarely looks the way you think it will. It shows up in how people trust you before they even meet you, in how conversations start warmer, in how your voice carries weight before the numbers catch up. If your podcast feels quiet, that doesn't mean it's not working. It may just be working in ways that you haven't seen yet. This is the conversation that I have with clients when they're looking at whether the podcast is supporting the business behind it. The link to find out more about those conversations is in the show description. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week where I take you inside a clarity conversation and show you what finally changes with your podcast when you actually give it a role in your business. I'll see you there. If you've enjoyed the show, come hang with me on my list. That's where I share deeper strategies, behind the scenes stories, and even access to everything I'm working on. No fluff, just what's working for podcasts right now. Head to the link in the show notes to join the email fam.